The small town of Oakhaven, nestled amidst rolling hills and quiet countryside, was a place where people knew their neighbors, attended church every Sunday, and believed in the goodness of humanity. But on a cold November night in 2017, that belief was shattered. The Anderson family, as the community grappled with an unthinkable question: who could have committed such a horrific crime? At the heart of Oakhaven stood St. Cecilia's Church, a beacon of faith and community. Father James, the parish priest, was a pillar of this community, a man known for his compassion, his eloquence, and his unwavering devotion to his parishioners. He was a confidant, a counselor, a friend to all. But as the investigation into the Anderson family murders deepened, a dark truth began to emerge, a truth that would cast a long shadow over Oakhaven and expose the hidden depths of a man who had betrayed the very trust he had sworn to uphold. This is the story of a family's tragic end, a community's shattered faith, and a priest's descent into darkness. A story of betrayal, obsession, and a crime that would forever scar the soul of Oakhaven. To understand how this tragedy unfolded, we must first meet the Andersons, a family whose lives were intertwined with the fabric of Oakhaven, a family who would become forever entangled in the web of Father James's deceit. The Anderson family was the epitome of a loving, close-knit household. Thomas, a respected businessman, and Emily, a dedicated schoolteacher, were deeply devoted to their daughter Jessica. She was a bright, talented girl, a gifted pianist, and a promising student. The family was active in the church, often volunteering and participating in community events. They were the kind of family that everyone admired. Their home was a sanctuary, a place where laughter echoed through the halls and love filled every corner. But beneath the surface of this idyllic existence, a darkness was creeping in, a darkness that would forever change the course of their life.
Mrs. Gavis, the Andersons were the kind of neighbors you dream of. Always friendly, always helpful. They were always there for you no matter what. I can't believe this happened to them. It's unimaginable.
As the days turned into weeks, the town of Oakhaven remained gripped by fear and confusion. The police investigation was underway, but progress was slow. The more they dug, the more questions arose. Who could have committed such a heinous crime, and why? The local news media descended on Oakhaven, eager to cover the story. The town was inundated with reporters, cameras, and microphones. The once peaceful streets were now filled with a sense of unease and paranoia. Everyone was a suspect. Everyone was a potential target. Little did they know that the answers to their questions lay within the walls of their own church, hidden behind the facade of a trusted man of God. Father James, the man who was supposed to guide them, to protect them, had become their destroyer. And the young, innocent Jessica Anderson was at the heart of this tragedy. Father James arrived in Oakhaven with a promise of renewal, a fresh face full of youthful energy and charisma. He quickly won the hearts of the parishioners at St. Cecilia's. He was a gifted orator, his sermons filled with passion and conviction. He organized youth groups, revitalized the choir, and made himself available to anyone in need, day or night. He was a modern priest, embracing technology and social media to connect with his flock. He had a knack for making everyone feel seen and heard, especially the young people of the parish. He was their mentor, their confidant, almost like a cool older brother. But beneath this charming exterior, there were whispers, subtle signs that something wasn't quite right. Some parishioners found his attention to the youth a little too intense, his touch a little too lingering. But these concerns were often dismissed as overprotective parents or simple misunderstanding.
I always thought there was something off about Father James. He was always around the young girls, especially the pretty ones. It made me uncomfortable, but I never said anything that would believe me. He was the priest after all.
Looking back, the red flags were there, but they were easily ignored, overshadowed by Father James's charisma and the trust he had cultivated. He was a master manipulator, a predator, hiding in plain sight. Grooming is an insidious process, often subtle and gradual. Predators like Father James use their position of authority and trust to gain access to their victims, slowly breaking down their defenses and manipulating them into silence. They offer attention, affection, and gifts, creating a bond that makes the victim feel special and indebted. Jessica, like many teenagers, was searching for guidance and acceptance. Father James offered her both, becoming a confidant, a friend, and ultimately something far more dangerous. As Father James's influence over Jessica grew, the lines between mentor and predator blurred. The darkness that lurked beneath his charming facade began to consume him, leading him down a path of obsession and just little did Jessica know that the man she trusted, the man who offered her solace and guidance, would ultimately become the architect of her family's. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between Father James and Jessica deepened. What began as a mentor-student relationship soon crossed the line into something far more sinister. The priest, a man of God, was exploiting his position of power, grooming Jessica for his own twisted desires. Jessica was caught in a web of deceit. Father James had expertly manipulated her, isolating her from her friends and family. He made her feel special, chosen, and loved, all the while feeding her insecurities and fears. She was trapped in a world of secrecy, a world where the lines between right and wrong had become blurred. As the relationship intensified, so did the danger. Father James's obsession with Jessica grew, and his actions became increasingly reckless. He began to cross boundaries, demanding more and more from her. Jessica, trapped in a nightmare of her own making, was powerless to stop him. The town of Oakhaven remained oblivious to the darkness that was consuming Jessica. They saw her as a bright, promising young woman, unaware of the demons that haunted her. But behind the facade of innocence, a battle was raging within her. A battle between her desire for freedom and her fear of the consequences. As the days turned into weeks, the tension reached a breaking point. The once peaceful town of Oakhaven was about to be shattered by a horrific act of violence, a tragedy that would forever change the lives of those who lived there. I know this was a heavy one, but these stories need to be told. If you're feeling it, give this video a thumbs up and share it to spread awareness. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join our true crime community. For those of you who've been here a while, you know I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. November 18th, 2017. A date that will forever be etched in the memory of Oakhaven. It was a Friday night, a night like any other. The Andersons were at home preparing for the weekend. Thomas was working late in his study, Emily was reading a book in the living room, and Jessica was upstairs listening to music and chatting with friends online. But their peaceful evening. A concerned neighbor, noticing the Andersons' lights were still on late into the night, decided to check on them. What they found was a scene of unimaginable horror. The Anderson family had been brutally murdered. Thomas was found in his study, slumped over his desk, a single gunshot wound to the head. Emily lay lifeless in the living room, multiple stab wounds marring her body. And upstairs, in her bedroom, Jessica, her young life cruelly extinguished. The news of the murders spread like wildfire through the small town. Shock, disbelief, and fear gripped the community. Who could have committed such a heinous crime? Was it a robbery gone wrong, a random act of violence, or was there something more sinister at play?
This was a crime of passion, a crime fueled by rage and hatred. The brutality of the attack, the sheer violence inflicted on the victims was unlike anything I'd ever seen before.
The murder weapon, a hunting knife, was found near Emily Anderson's body. Forensic analyses revealed traces of DNA that didn't belong to any of the victims. It was a crucial clue, a link to the killer that would ultimately unravel the mystery and expose the dark truth behind. As the investigation intensified, the residents of Oakhaven were left to grapple with their grief and fear. They had lost not only a beloved family, but also their sense of security, their belief in the safety of their community. Little did they know that the answers they sought were closer than they imagined, hidden within the very heart of their town. The investigation into the Anderson family murders was the largest in Oakhaven's history. The small-town police department, overwhelmed by the scale of the crime, called in reinforcements from the county and state level. Every resource was dedicated to finding the killer and bringing them to justice. The forensic evidence painted a grim picture. The murder weapon, a hunting knife, yielded fingerprints that didn't match any of the victims. DNA found on the knife and at the crime scene pointed to a male suspect, but the profile didn't match anyone in the criminal database. The police interviewed dozens of people, neighbors, friends, co-workers, anyone who might have had contact with the Andersons. Several individuals were brought in for questioning, but none of them emerged as a solid lead. The investigation seemed to be hitting a wall. As the days turned into weeks, the pressure mounted on the investigators. The town of Oakhaven was on edge, demanding answers. The police were determined to find the killer, but the trail was growing cold. Father James, like the rest of the community, expressed his shock and sorrow over the Anderson family's tragic deaths. He offered comfort to the grieving parishioners, led prayer vigils, and even presided over the funeral service. But behind his facade of compassion, something seemed amiss. As the investigation progressed, the police began to focus their attention on Father James. His close relationship with the Anderson family, particularly Jessica, raised suspicions. And when the DNA results from the crime scene came back, a chilling truth was revealed. The DNA found on the murder weapon matched Father James. The shepherd of the flock, the man they trusted, was now the prime suspect in the brutal murder of the Anderson family. The investigation had taken a shocking turn, and the town of Oakhaven was about to be plunged into a maelstrom of betrayal and disbelief. The arrest of Father James sent shockwaves through the community. How could the man they revered, the man who represented faith and morality, be capable of such a heinous crime? The answer, as the investigation would soon reveal, lay hidden in the depths of a twisted mind, a mind consumed by obsession and darkness. The trial of Father James was a media spectacle. News outlets from across the country descended upon Oakhaven, eager to cover the sensational case of the priest accused of murdering an entire family. The courtroom was filled with tension and emotion as the prosecution laid out their case, painting a picture of a manipulative predator who had abused his position of power to groom and ultimately silence his victim.
The evidence against Father James was overwhelming. We had DNA, fingerprints, and a witness testimony that placed him at the crime scene. But more importantly, we had the testimony of Jessica's friends who bravely came forward to reveal the extent of his manipulation and abuse.
The defense argued that Father James was innocent, a victim of a conspiracy orchestrated by those who sought to tarnish his reputation. They claimed the DNA evidence was planted, the witnesses were unreliable, and that Father James was simply a compassionate priest who had been wrongly accused.
Father James was a man of God, a pillar of the community. He dedicated his life to serving others. It's simply inconceivable that he could be capable of such a horrific crime.
After days of testimony and deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. Father James was found guilty on all counts, 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of sexual abuse of a minor. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict brought a sense of closure to the Anderson family and the community of Oakhaven. But the scars of the tragedy remained. The church, once a source of comfort and solace, was now a symbol of betrayal and pain. Many parishioners struggled to reconcile their faith with the actions of their former priest. The case of Father James raised important questions about the abuse of power, the importance of speaking out, and the need for greater vigilance in protecting vulnerable individuals. It served as a wake-up call, a reminder that even those we trust the most can be capable of unimaginable darkness. The tragedy of the Anderson family will forever be a part of Oakhaven's history. But from the ashes of this devastating loss, a new sense of awareness and resilience emerged. The community came together to support one another, to heal, and to ensure that such a tragedy would never happen again. Thomas, Emily, and Jessica Anderson may be gone, but their memory lives on. They will forever be remembered as loving parents, a bright young daughter, and victims of a crime that shook a community to its core. Their story serves as a reminder of the importance of vigilance, the power of speaking out, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The story of the Anderson family is a tragedy that transcends the boundaries of Oakhaven. It's a story that speaks to the darkest corners of human nature, where trust is betrayed, innocence is shattered, and the very foundations of faith are shaken. But it's also a story of resilience, of a community that came together to heal and to seek justice. If you found this story impactful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more true crime documentaries. Your support helps us continue to shed light on important issues and bring justice to those who have been silenced. The wounds inflicted by Father James run deep, but they will not define Oakhaven. The memory of Thomas, Emily, and Jessica will live on, not as victims, but as symbols of the enduring strength of the human spirit. Their story reminds us that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, as we reflect on this tragedy, let us remember the importance of vigilance, of speaking out against injustice, and of supporting those who have been harmed. Let us honor the memory of the Anderson family by creating a world where such darkness can no longer find a foothold. If you or someone you know has been affected by abuse, please reach out for help. There are resources available, people who care, and a path towards healing. Remember, you are not alone. Thank you for watching.